am Ruth Proctor. I am the author of I Survive, You Can Too, my self-published autobiography about surviving molestation, domestic violence, infidelity, but still being successful as an entrepreneur and a mom. I survive, you can too. Don't let your story define who you are, and don't allow your circumstance to be your end all be all.
All right. So I have with me Ruth Proctor. She is the author of I Survived, You Can Too. And I'm so excited to have this interview with you.
Yes, I appreciate it.
We met just a couple weeks ago.
Yes.
It was love at first sight because when we saw each other, it was like, oh, I know her.
Yes.
And what it really was we knew each other's trauma.
Yep.
Our traumas picked up on each other pretty quickly, so that energy was right there.
Right.
And you're a former foster youth like myself.
Yes.
So I think we're going to have a really sobering conversation about what it really means to survive.
Right.
And how we're no different than cancer survivors.
Nope.
Right. And we wear those badges daily.
Yep.
And so you're a
Earn them
mother,
stripes.
entrepreneur,
Yes.
running businesses. I'm not going to tell you a story. I'm going to just be quiet and let you talk. But hey, y'all, this is Maurice with 21st Century Fatherhood. And I am so happy to be able to make this interview possible. And I think it's going to be a blessing to a lot of people. So without further ado, let me introduce my guest, Miss Ruth Proctor.
How
Good to
y'all
have you.
doing? Country girl. Y'all hear my accent. So I'm from North Carolina, okay?
So let's get into it. As I told you before, I really believe in being authentic, being very transparent as you feel fit to. But this month is Women's Month.
Yes.
And my goal as a man is to make sure that I am celebrating women, being proactive about that, because I think it's important for men to make sure that we're projecting the right message.
Right.
We're still in a world that is trying to figure out how to elevate women to a position where it doesn't necessarily include men.
Right.
And you guys are doing your own thing.
Yeah.
I often say that women, y'all smart. Y'all have figured it out.
Yeah.
Y'all haven't figured out how to, y'all haven't figured out how to get men to act right.
Right.
But y'all not waiting.
Mm-mm.
And I love it because when you sit around and wait, you might never get what you're looking for.
You better do it yourself.
So like eagles, we gonna get caught. We gonna get caught in the sky, right? We gonna find this thing at an elevated level,
Right.
So, talk to me a little bit about your story. What led you to write the book? Where you are now? What's coming up for you?
So writing this story definitely was challenging. I went years of not wanting to do it. I fought through so much, so many fears. I'm a very private person. So, I was cool with just being a business owner, being a boss, and being in the shadows. That was my life. That's been my life for 17 years. But God was like, no, it's time for you to speak. Okay. And so I fought through, I would say the last 5 years, just really like punching me in my back. I'm talking about from preachers saying, you need to finish that book. And I'm like, what? They don't even know me, Right. So he had so many confirmations, so many people coming at me, so many things coming at me to remind me to do it. 2001, my girlfriend gave me a journal and she was like, can you just start writing? I was in an abusive relationship. I got married right out of high school to my high school sweetheart. He started beating me right after we got married. Then I started going through an annulment process. So I went through that. And so at that time, she was like, can you just write? Just start writing, journal. I'm like, all right. So from time to time, I would start journaling. So when I got in college, when I would start to talk about my story or, especially when I started pledging, shout out to Delta Sigma Theta Alpha Lambda, everybody was like, you need to write a book. Your story is crazy. You know what I'm saying? I just was like, And like you said, we just take that trauma and we tack it on and keep pushing. But I did begin to journal. And then I would say over the last 10 years, God kept telling me to do a book. And I'm like, all right, whatever. I'm going to just journal. And so over the last 4 years, I began to put it together. In the process of that, I remarried to, a friend from college, and he was completely against me doing a book. So we were in the process of going through a divorce, and I really sat down and started writing. And so when I did that, I would have days where I was like, this is too heavy. You know, I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to write about this. And so I had moments where I was crying while I'm writing. I had moments where, and when I had to transfer it from writing to typing, I went through a whole nother emotional space because now I'm going through a divorce and I'm writing about this trauma.
This is the second divorce.
This is technically the third. The first one was like an annulment. Then I got married to a college friend, and we were married maybe a year. And the guy that I started talking to prior to him, well, the guy that I was with prior to him is who I ended up marrying this last time, which I was with for like 11 years. So it's been hell, you know. It's been. Let me take that back. It hasn't been hell, but it's been a process of loving me. You know, really loving yourself. So throughout that, going through that divorce, I really, you know, put my head down and I was quiet. God shut me up. He said, stop talking to people, put your mind into this book, get this book done. And so in the midst of a 2-year process of going through a divorce, I finished the book. And so I think I put all my trauma, all my pain into that. So I started therapy and I'm gonna finish this book. And that's what I did. And so in 2020, December, for my birthday, my goal was to do, you know, have my book launch. And that's what I did. So on December 20th, shout out to Sagittarius in the building.
No doubt.
I released my first book, I Survive, You Can Too. And in January of this year, I did the workbook.
Wow.
But it definitely wasn't easy. You know that trauma is real. It goes into adulthood, which is why I've been married 3 times. And throughout the book process, I learned to love me. I learned that I wasn't loving myself. That's why I've been through so much. That's why I continue to let people do so much to me and stayed in things, because when you don't have your parents and you don't have that guidance, you kind of, you know, attach to things that make sense to you.
Right.
You know, and for me, not having that void and not having either of my parents, it really was challenging to understand what love was. So if I got a little bit, it was cool because I never got any. So that's what therapy taught me, that, you know, you accepted 1% when you deserved 100. You know what I'm saying? And so throughout this process, these last 3 years, I just been loving on me. I have been taking care of me. I've always taken care of me, but it's definitely been a process, but a beautiful process in the midst of storm.
Man, there's so much I want to say right here.
Go ahead. Let's go.
You know, when I hear you talking, I hear my own story, and I've been with the same woman since college.
That's a blessing.
But we have transformed.
Yeah.
We have gone through a lot.
Yeah.
And our story is still being written.
Yeah.
But we have learned how to accept each other, love each other.
Exactly.
And certainly without God,
Right.
it was not even going to be possible
Right.
at all.
Yeah.
I think that for us, as former foster youth in particular, we go through seasons, right? And one of the seasons we go through is really just surviving, right?
Yep.
Which is what the book is titled, I Survived, You Can Too. And so that survival mode keeps you constantly like your back is to the wall.
Yep.
You are like constantly like, where's the exit?
Yep.
You know, like it's like you walk in the building, you immediately like, I need to know how to get out of here.
Yep.
Because nobody is coming for me. Nobody's going to save me.
Nope.
So I better know how to get up out of this situation myself.
Yep.
That gets you out of certain periods of your life.
It do.
But it does not help you when you're really trying to elevate, right? When you get to a level where you need to connect with people.
Right.
You need to trust somebody else. In a marriage, at work. Like you are like, you kind of self-sabotage a little bit because you're like, I can't let people let me down.
Right.